What's your role at DNV?
I'm the global head of competence and learning. Competence and learning is a unit that mainly deals with development of the people in the organization. So we develop all types of competence initiatives, formal training, e-learning, different types of learning campaigns. We also are responsible for the technical trainee program. And we also run something called 70-20-10 implementation, which is about leadership development. How do we develop managers to become better competence managers?
How important would you say is leadership and change in your current position?
It's very important because the whole market is radically changing and it's happening very fast. I'm competence responsible in oil and gas. There are 4 companies in DNV GL. And if you look at the oil and gas sector, it's radical changes happening. You can just read in the news that there are loads of downsizing processes happening, new introduction of new technologies, all these things about cybersecurity, data smart, services that used to work before doesn't necessarily work anymore. So there's a massive change. And if you look at the mandate and the responsibilities I have, which is about driving competence development in the organization, since the only products we have is competence, and that's what we deliver in the market, that obviously has an impact on what we develop our people towards, what type of initiatives we run, as well as how we are capable of helping them to make that change into the new era, I would almost call it.
What kind of change is your division most occupied with at the moment?
I think the biggest change we're occupied with is to move the competence development from traditional formal training, like developing a course, send people through that course, evaluate if they have learned something, and that's it. And that's how most companies actually think about competence development. What we're trying to do is to shift the focus towards the actual learning on the job, or also facilitate for knowledge, more sophisticated knowledge sharing mechanisms. And why is that important? It's important because DNV GL is a global company with offices in 100 countries, 300 offices. And people don't know what's happening in the different parts of the different parts of the business. So there are a lot of interesting, innovative things that is happening that, for example, one department in one region doesn't know about. So we're looking at how can we, in a systematic way, drive forward good knowledge sharing mechanisms, also by using technology, but also to build a culture around that.
Do you have any bad experience with change management or leadership?
Yeah, I mean, being a leader involves so many aspects. And if you talk about having bad experiences in leadership, it can be on so many levels. You can have bad experiences with employees reporting to you. You can have bad experiences with your boss, and you can have bad experiences within the politics of the organization. I haven't really, I have experienced a couple of incidents which has been challenging, where I, as a manager myself, or a leader as myself, see opportunities to make a change. There's an opportunity in the market, and to drive that forward, we have to make changes in what we do. And then when you don't have the support for that, to actually implement that change process, then you may perceive it as a failure, or you may perceive it as the company is not ready for it. So I've had a couple of these type of experiences.
So do you think it's good that universities or business schools try to educate students in change management, change, how to handle change, and leadership?
I think it's critical that they train people in how you manage change. Because sometimes it's a tendency to make a glossy picture about what leadership is about. Leadership, and many people have this idea, I want to become a manager. It looks so exciting to drive this and that. But a very important part of being a leader not a manager, because management from my perspective is more about administration and driving processes and setting up processes and ensuring that things flows well. Leadership is from my perspective, a big part of leadership is to drive change. And sometimes you have to drive large change processes. Other times you have to drive smaller ones. But it needs to be a strong focus upon this in leadership development training. I think also at the Master of Science level, because when you enter into the corporate world, you will be exposed to a painful reality, which doesn't really always match with what you have learned from the theoretical perspective.
What would you suggest students who are aspiring to become agents of change?
I think probably two traits or characteristics are important. I think one is the curiosity and the hunger to always ask the question, why? Why do we do what we're doing? If you have this question of why going on in your mind, you will always search for opportunities and you will always question the status quo on what you're doing. Of course, that can be extremely tiring for the surroundings if you're always pushing for that in every single area. So you have to be tactical and smart about where you ask the question why you do things. The second thing is to do not think that you know everything yourself. Sometimes after many years as a manager or a leader, there's a tendency that you feel that you are so good at what you do and you lose the curiosity. You lose the curiosity and the eagerness to listen to what people are trying to tell you. And a lot of innovation actually happens from the bottom up if you facilitate for that. So I think it's these two things. Ask yourself this question, why are we doing what we're doing? And of course have a deep understanding of what's happening in the market and try to understand the scenarios of where the future is going to go. And then the eagerness to ask questions and to be humble and curious.
Why should graduates think about joining DNV GL?
I think DNV GL, it's a fascinating company. If you start on the macro level, it's, as I mentioned, it's a knowledge-intensive company. It's a company where there is no physical products, if you like that idea to work in a knowledge-intensive. I mean, some may argue that most industries now are knowledge-intensive, but some companies sell products and we sell the minds of people. But I think that what attracted me to this company is, first of all, it's a very multinational, multicultural company. Working language is English. It's spread all over the world. It's been going on for more than 150 years. It's a deep core history. Very strong values. I mean, every company has values and expectations and all these things to employees and managers. But I feel in this company that people really are living the values. It's a very important part of kind of the DNA of this company. And there's a lot of international opportunities if people are interested in that. And since it's so big, you can spend your whole career in this company. That's actually one of the first things that's surprised me when I joined this company 4 years ago. I asked people, you know, how long have you been working here? It was like 17 years, 20 years, 25 years. And in today's world, people think that it's so cool that you switch every 3 years. Which I think is a cool thing, but when you have the opportunities, because I asked them, why do you stay in this company? Why don't you move around? I move around, but I move around within the company. So you have the oil and gas industry, the maritime industry, you have the energy industry and the renewables, you have the business assurance, which is the certification kind of industry, and then you have all the global different areas.